Alrighty, it's 1:05 Eastern. We're going to get started with our basic Placester 101 class. This is the basic setup of your KW website powered by Placester. This is not going to get too much into into the custom pages or blogging or things like that. This is just getting your information into the site, getting it launched, getting it ready for clients to start using. Let me go ahead and exit our slideshow here. Our first step, oh, by the way, before we even get started, I do want to point out one very important piece of information. If you're using Microsoft Internet Explorer, that is not going to work with the Placester interface. You'll get over to Placester and then nothing will load. It'll just be a blank page. Internet Explorer was retired about 2 years ago by Microsoft in favor of the Edge browser, Microsoft Edge, and excuse me, there's no longer any support for Internet Explorer, and a lot of sites, increasing number of sites, are not going to work with Internet Explorer. So my recommendation would be to upgrade to a newer browser, a more modern browser, maybe Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox, or if you're using Windows 10, Edge should be installed by default. If you're on a Mac, Safari should work just fine. It's just Internet Explorer has problems with Placester. It won't load the page. So, excuse me, assuming that you're already in one of those more modern browsers like Chrome, Firefox, or Safari, we use Chrome here. Let's get logged into our MyKW homepage. That's our mykw.kw.com. Your site is not accessed by logging directly into your site, nor is it accessed by logging into Placester.com. It's actually accessed through MyKW through the single sign-on system. When you're logged into MyKW, you're automatically logged into Placester, into Dotloop, into eEdge, into KW Connect, several different things, as long as you're logged into MyKW. So that's where we're going to get logged into. Once you're on your MyKW homepage, up in the top black menu, we'll hover over Technology, then we'll click KW Websites. And then on this page, you should have a big red Go to My Website button. Now, if you don't have this button, that's for one of two reasons, and unfortunately, there's no way to fix that in the time of this class. The two things that are required for you to have this button here for you to activate, to work on your site is that your @kw.com email address has to exist. You don't have to use it. You don't have to log into it. You don't have to put it on any profiles or anything. It just has to be there. And then the other requirement is that your MLS ID needs to be added to the KW white pages. So if we did your setup, we created that KW email for you, so you don't have to worry about that part. But unfortunately, we can't put the MLS ID into the white pages for you, nor can you do it yourself. It has to be done by leadership at your particular market center. So you would want to contact your market center leadership, usually your MCA, and have them add your MLS ID to the KW white pages. If you don't know what that means, that's fine. Your MCA should know what that means, and if they need help with that, they can definitely reach out to us for some help. Once that MLS ID is in the white pages, roughly 24 hours later, you'll get a pop-up notification when you log into mykw.kw.com and an email notification to your @kw.com email, and it can only go to that email. There's no way to change where that notification email goes to. It'll let you know that this site is available to start working on, and then you should have this red button on this page. Unfortunately, like I said, there's nothing we can do about it during the time of this class, but you're welcome to follow along, take some notes, or this class is going to be recorded. It's going to be available at slmtraining.com, and that's along with all of our other Placester 101 and 201 classes and the rest of our more advanced classes like Dotloop 101 or search engine marketing or things like that. What was I saying? So assuming you do have your Go to My Website button, let's go ahead and click on that to go into the Placester interface. So here is our Placester interface. You may look slightly different than ours. You may have a message across the top. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give myself that message across the top if I can. This is the one thing I forgot to do in preparation for this class, was unlaunch my site. That's not what I want. I want dashboards. Okay, so you may have a message across the top. I guess I don't get that message saying to launch your site. If you do see that message, definitely click on that link where it says launch your site. It's just one click and your site is launched. You don't have to put in any settings. You don't have to type anything in. You don't have to click anything additional. You just click it, your site is launched. If it's not showing you that banner across the top, double check over here on the left under quick actions and see if it says launch site here. That's where it's showing it for me, so I'm going to click that and launch my site. Once I click that, it's going to take me to the list of my sites that are here in my Placester account. For most agents, there should only be one site listed here. We have seen some anomalies where some agents get 2 or 3 sites, either where they accidentally created an extra one or Placester glitched and gave them an extra one for free. It's up to you how you want to use those additional sites. Typically, KW agents are only supposed to have one site in here, and if you do create additional sites using this plus sign, it's going to cost you $10 a month to have that site go live. One is free, and then any additionals after that are going to be charged by Placester. Now, some exceptions to that are if you're a member of the commercial, luxury, or farm and ranch divisions. If you join one of those divisions or more than one of those divisions, you get an additional Placester site for each of those divisions. So you could have potentially 4 KW sites through Placester, one for residential, one for commercial, one for luxury, one for farm and ranch. We do see the commercial site here for Scott because he's a member of the commercial division there, just so that we can show you this as an example, basically. And that is part of your membership to those divisions. But for most agents, there should just be one in this list. Now, this list that I'm seeing here, if your site is already launched, you wouldn't have had that button that'll take you over to where you can see this list of sites. If you want to get here, you actually just click on this grid of 9 squares up in the top right, and then click on Sites. That's where we are here. Is this page is Sites. So once you're here, or even over on the dashboard, you can click on Edit Site. On this page, it's over to the right of the site preview. Over on the dashboard, it's on the left under Quick Actions. It'll take you to the same place right here where it's the Site Settings page. This is where we're going to spend all of our time in our Placester 101 class, right here under Site Settings, which is where we are now. We're not going to go over into pages, blog posts, testimonials, or areas. That's covered in our Placester 201 class. We did that last Wednesday. We'll be doing it next week also, but it's also recorded at slmtraining.com, just like this class will be. So if you ever miss anything, or you have questions, or you came in late, or you had to leave early, all these classes are recorded at slmtraining.com. So S is in Scott, L is in Leroy, M is in marketing, training.com. All of our classes are recorded there. So moving down our site settings page, we're just going to start at the top and work our way down. Excuse me. The first thing to check out here is IDX integration. IDX stands for Internet Data Exchange, and that's the system where listing information from your MLS makes its way over to your site. So when we open this up, this will show the MLSs that you may be a member of, and there may be multiple ones here. And you can select which of those MLSs that you want to show listings for on your site. By default, what's going to be selected is the KWLS. That's the Keller Williams Listing Service, and that's only KW listings. No listings outside the company would be able to be found on your site. So if you have your local MLS available to select on this page, you definitely want to click Use this MLS next to your actual local MLS. If your MLS is not shown on this page, that means that a request needs to be sent to Placester to get that IDX connection set up. And depending on your MLS, some MLSs charge per IDX connection, some don't. You would want to double check with your MLS on that. Up in the Northeast, in the New England area, a new coalition of MLSs was just brought together, and they decided to start charging for IDX subscriptions for each site. That's not really that uncommon. The RE Colorado board, coalition over in Denver, in most of Colorado, definitely charges for each MLS connection. I've heard of other MLSs that charge like $35 per IDX connection, so it's not really that uncommon. But if that's not something that you want to pay $30 a month for, definitely look into the options there for what the IDX feeds that you actually need are. There are 3 that you can have as a KW agent. One is for your app, one is for your eEdge database, and one is for your Placester website. We can get you some information about that if you want us to. Just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we can get you information about setting up those IDX connections. If there isn't an IDX available for your local MLS in this list right here, you'd want to contact either us or your market center, usually your market center first, to ask them for probably paperwork that needs to be submitted to Placester that need to get that IDX connection set up. But sometimes you would also click this request a new integration, but that's not the normal way. Most MLSs do require paperwork, so double check with your office for what that process looks like. If your MLS is available, definitely on the right, click Use this MLS. We're going to do the Cooperative Arkansas Realtors. And then double check underneath it under Region that it doesn't say None. If it says None right here, you can click Save all you want, but nothing's going to happen. If it says None here, you'd want to edit this And in the drop down, select the actual area that you're working in. Most MLSs will only have 1 or 2 states available in here, especially if they're near a state line. If the listings cover both of those states, you can select both of them. But most times it's just you're going to select the state that you're working in. Once you've selected that, down in the bottom right, we want to click our green Save button. Now that green Save button is going to be very familiar to you because everything that you do in Placester, every change that you make, you have to click that green Save button in order for it to be applied to your site. If you don't click Save, nothing was changed and you have to go back and redo it. Under IDX integration, we've got global filters and featured listings. Before we go into either one of these, let me explain the difference between them. Global filters is controlling what listings can be found via searching on your site. So this is what can be found anywhere on your site. So the recommendation for global filters is not to be very narrow. In fact, most times you don't want to do anything to global filters at all. Instead, featured listings is choosing which listings you want to show on the home page of your site. And there you can get as restrictive as you want. You can show just your listings, just your office's listings, just a certain zip code, just a certain neighborhood, only a certain price range, or beds and baths. Lots of different what are they called, criteria you can put there into featured listings, and that's where you would want to get specific so you can control which listings are showing on your home page. That doesn't control what listings can be found on your site. That's controlled in global filters, and usually you don't want to do anything in there, but we're going to go look at what they look like just in case you do want to work with them. Let's open up global filters. And in here, this is going to look very similar to featured listings when we get there. You've got some criteria that are automatically added here, or you can select new criteria to add in. It's pretty self-explanatory. So in global filters here, say I didn't want to work at all with maybe flippers or investment properties. So I wanted to have a minimum price of $115,000. And that would vary based on your market, but a minimum price of $115,000. I want to start with starter homes, not flippers or investment homes. So you may want to narrow that down, the search availability on your site, to be at least $115,000. It's up to you how narrow or wide you want to do this, but keep in mind, the more narrow you get, the more limiting yourself for what can be found on your site. So you don't want to get too narrow here in global filters. And then say also you work in an area that has a whole bunch of either commercial or luxury listings, and you don't really want to focus on those really high dollar properties because they're really difficult to work with. So you could also set maybe a max price of $800,000. So you're only working in that regular residential range between 115 and 800,000. You may also want to just lower this number if you want to stop at $500,000 or something like that. It's up to you. I'm going to leave it at 8. And then you can say, I only want to work in a certain area. You can add, let's see here, a certain county, beds and baths. Oh, they have half baths there. That's cool. Certain statuses, whether it's, what's it called? Active or pending or whatever. But most times, like I said, in global filters, you don't want to narrow this down too much. So I'm just going to leave these price filters here. And then we'll scroll down and click search. And what that's going to do is down here in this list is going to show us a preview of what is going to be available to be found on our site. So without these filters here for price, there were roughly 10,000 in this MLS. Once I applied those filters for price, now there's roughly 7,000 that can be found on my site. And you'll see how those numbers change as you make changes to the criteria up here. Once you're happy with the number of listings that are going to be able to be found on your site, you would scroll down to the bottom and click Save. And now if I went over to Scott's site, I wouldn't be able to find any listings that were under 115,000 or over 800,000. Under that, we're going to get over here to featured listings. But before we do that, I'm going to go open Scott's site just to show you what that looks like on the home page. Okay, so here's Scott's site. And this is featured properties right here. And in fact, let me go fix something right here. I bet, yeah. Let me save this. Okay, so by default on the home page, the featured properties section is going to show the highest price listings that are available to be found in the global filters if you haven't already set featured listings. So this is going to be showing 12 million. Why are these even on here? Global filters doesn't apply to 12 million. Who knows? Maybe it's just a glitch. I don't know. But it's going to show the highest price listings that are in your MLS that meet your global filters criteria. Theoretically, this may just be showing the whole MLS. So this is 12 million, 11.5 million, 10 million, 8.75 million. So this may not be the listings that you want to show on your homepage. Instead, you could come over here to featured listings and narrow that down significantly. You could do a minimum and maximum beds and baths, or a minimum price or a max price. So say, let's see, I wanted to focus primarily on, like I said, those starter homes. So min beds, we're going to do 2, minimum baths 1, and we'll do a max price of 400,000. That's a little high for a starter home in some areas, but we'll put that there. And then I want to work primarily in a certain zip code, and I'm not going to pretend to know what some of the zip codes are in and around the Arkansas area, but you could put in a zip code there. You could also add additional criteria. Say you were a luxury agent and there was a certain neighborhood that you wanted to work in a lot. You could do a neighborhood, do add right here and put in the name of that neighborhood. Let's pretend, well, okay, let's do an S. See, I don't even know. There we go. Let's say Jonesboro East. I have no idea whether it is, but let's say Jonesboro East was a luxury area and I wanted to show those listings on my homepage. I could add that here. Or what you could do is, I'm going to remove this here and remove these also, is you could show only your listings on the homepage, and you would do that under add search criteria. Scroll down to the bottom and you see here where it says agent ID. We have never seen it work with agent name. We've tried it over and over, and you search for that agent and it never shows anything. So you would want to do agent ID, and this is your MLS ID that you use to log into your MLS. So you would put that in there, something like that, and then it would show only your listings on the home page. Once you've got those criteria selected, I'm going to go ahead and re-add the max price in there. Going to do a max price of 400,000. There we go. Once you got those criteria selected, under that we have an additional option here that's default sort. Like I said earlier, by default, the featured listings are going to show the highest price first. That's what's going to be default. Instead, you could do total images most, so the listings with the most pictures. Days on site newest, so these are going to be the freshest listings. These are going to be the most stale listings. I don't know if you would want to work with those. I don't know what the situation would be there. Most beds or most baths, or year built newest or year built oldest. So say you wanted to work maybe in a historic neighborhood and work with those homes, you may want to sort it by year built oldest first. So I'm going to do days on site newest because that's what we typically do when we're setting up sites for agents. And then this last drop down here is, there is a page type that you can create, and that's covered in Placester 201, but there's a page type that you can create called a featured listings page, where it would show on that page only listings that meet these criteria that you're setting right here. So it's a full page of featured listings rather than just the 4 that the home page shows, or 6 or 12, or depending on your theme. But on the Madison theme, it's just 4, and you can show up to 10, 20, or 50 per page on that featured listings page. So I'll set that to 20 there just to see what that looks like. No, not 40, 400. There we go. And there are, looks like 13,000-ish listings that are under 400,000. So we're going to scroll to the bottom, click Save. And when I go back to Scott's site now, if I refresh the home page, now down here in featured properties, it's showing me only listings that are under 400K, and it's showing me the newest listings first. So this one at 4909 B Street, that's the newest listing in the Arkansas board that's under 400,000. Really neat there. And if you do sort it by newest first, it's always going to have fresh listings scrolling across your homepage. So that's a really neat thing to do. Under that, we've got this option here for open house info. You'll see that it's grayed out. This is only for single property sites. What you can do is set up a website that's just for one particular listing. No other listing information can be found besides just that one listing. It's usually done for like luxury properties or maybe commercial properties, where it's just that one listing, that, you know, description, pictures, contact information, all that fun stuff just for that listing. Excuse me. And that's not something we're going to cover here because that is a paid option and we're not going to cover stuff that costs you money, so we're going to skip it. Under that, we've got the site design section. So we just finished with the listing section. Now we'll come down here to site design. And that's a little bit of a grandiose term for what you can do under site design. You can choose some options, but you can't really design things. First, we're going to go to theme selection, and this is changing the look and feel of your website. So by default, what's going to be selected is this Madison theme. This is KW specific. Only KW agents get this Madison theme or the next one, which is Madison Metro. So both of those are specific to KW agents. Nobody else that has a Placester account gets those. And on the Madison theme, if we scroll down just a little bit, actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. So if you scroll through these themes, there are 8 to choose from, and these are the only themes that are available. You can't customize these. You can't drag things around. You can't add or remove elements. This is not like a WordPress site where you can just drag and drop things around. You choose your theme, and that's what you're stuck with, basically. One thing to note about themes, though, is you see these pictures that are behind and above the search bar. These pictures can be changed out at will. So you're not choosing your theme based on the picture that's back here because you control this picture. You're choosing your theme based on the layout, the look and feel, and the colors, and where things are positioned and sizing and things like that. Like I said, to repeat, you're choosing these pictures back here, so don't choose your theme based on the picture here, okay? Choose it based on everything but the picture. So I'm going to leave it on the Madison here, which is the default that's selected. Under that, depending on your theme, you may have some different color options to choose from down here. On the Madison theme, this is choosing what this background section is up here and the color of our search box here. It's got a nice orange there. I usually don't like orange, but I actually like that one. Got our nice blue-gray. We've got sort of a sky blue, baby blue. We've got navy here, or the KW red. No matter what color you choose, it's going to automatically switch it. We'll scroll down to this bottom section. In step 3 here, you're choosing whether you want the solid color header at the top, so whether you want it solid green or blue or orange or whatever you choose here, or whether you want the white header with accents of the color that you've chosen here. Excuse me. So I'm going to leave this with the white header with the accents just to show you what that difference looks like. And then under that, this is exclusive to the Madison and Madison Metro themes. You can change this text right here where it says the best place to find your home. By default, there's not going to be any text here, and you can tell it what to show there above the search bar. Now, we get questions all the time. Can I change the font or the color or the size or the position? No. You get to change what it says. It's always going to be white. It's always going to be that size. It's always going to have that drop shadow. It's always going to be that font. You're just choosing what it says. So usually what we put in here is your home search starts here. And I do want to point out that it has a limit of 60 characters. So you can have up to 60 characters in this box. Do an exclamation mark. There we go. And then we would save that. Remember, you have to save everything that you do to the Placester site or else it won't be applied. So now I'm going to refresh Scott's page here. And now I've got this white header section here with the green accents like I selected. Got that green search bar and green buttons and everything. Green login and register and all that. And then down here, what was I saying? Oh, we've got our text that says your home search starts here. And you can control that up to 60 characters. Moving along, we're going to drop down here to the slideshow section. Remember, you're not choosing your theme based on the picture because in this section, you're choosing what pictures to show there behind the slideshow. There are some pre-built templates here. There should be about 5 or 6 of them. These are provided by Placester, and you can select any of them that you want to use, or you can build your own custom slideshow, or you can edit any of their existing slideshows. So say you like some of the pictures here in this interiors one, but you wanted to upload your own otherwise, or you wanted to do fewer pictures. For the slideshows, you can have up to 5 images in your slideshow. No fewer than 1, you can't have nothing back there, but if you do just have 1 image there, it's going to be static and not sliding through, and then you can slide through anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can't have any more than 5, and you can't have more than 1 slideshow selected at a time. You just have to choose which slideshow you want to use. Excuse me. If you wanted to work with one of their default slideshows that are provided here, like this variety here, I'm going to select that. And I can change the name here if I wanted to customize it. I could upload a new one in place of this slot right here. So say I didn't like this picture, I could upload a new picture. I could change the caption of it. You notice here on the home page, we've got this caption right here, find a home perfect for entertaining. You can control that for each and every picture on your slideshow. Note, again, that you can't change the size or color or position or font of this. It's always going to be white. It's always going to be in the bottom left. It's always going to be that size and that font. But you can choose what it says. Back here, you can also apply a link to each of those pictures on the slideshow. So let me go show you guys a preview of mine real quick. So here's my site from when I was the tech coordinator in Pensacola. We were a tourist town, very much so, and I've got a slide on here. There we go. We've got this downtown area that's got really cool stuff in it. Let me go back to this slide. And if I were to click on this picture, it's going to take me to the Downtown Association's website. So you can apply a link to the pictures on your site. Really easy to do. You would just paste that link into this box, the whole http:// all that fun stuff. You can remove pictures from a slideshow. You can delete them and just leave those slots blank. So now there would only be 3 pictures in the slideshow if we were to save it. And if you do make changes to it without changing the name of the slideshow, it'll just put custom at the end. And then any changes that you make, you would of course need to save. I'm going to cancel this because I'm going to show you how to create a new slideshow from scratch. So we're going to click, before we do that, I do want to point out this link right here that says, please visit this help article for image resizing tips and to learn ideal slideshow dimensions for each Placester theme. If I click on this, if I scroll down right here, it's got all the Placesters, all the themes available besides the, the Madison, and it'll tell you exactly how big those pictures need to be for the slideshow. 1600 by 660, 1600 by 500, 934 by 336, depending on the theme that you've chosen. And then it also has instructions for how to use Pixlr to resize your images, how to crop them, and it's a really neat little tutorial here. Definitely click on that link to learn how to make your images fit properly for your theme. For the Madison theme, it's the same as the, what was that top one again? The Plymouth. It's 1600 by 660. So actually, I think it's actually closer to the Fremont, 1600 by 500. Sorry about that. So for your images, if you're using the Madison theme, 1600 by 500 is usually a great place to start. And that's width by height. So 1600 pixels wide by 500 pixels tall is what you're going to want to use for the Madison theme. If your picture is taller than 500 pixels, what's going to happen is it's going to cut off the top and bottom and only show the middle of the picture. Now, if your picture is wider than 1600 pixels, it'll scale it down in proportion. You don't have to worry about it cutting off the left or right. It'll only cut off the top and bottom. That's just the way that the site works. So I'm going to click on the plus sign here to create a new slideshow, and I'm going to call this class custom right here. And again, I can upload up to 5 images to use here. So we're going to upload here and going to go in here, website class images, main slideshow. So I've got 5 images I'm going to upload here. Some of them are the proper dimensions and some of them are improper dimensions. And I'll show you what those look like once we get them added. And you don't necessarily have to follow along with this step. I'm just showing you what it looks like. You're definitely welcome to come back to the recording and pause it and follow along at your own speed. So now I've got these 5 pictures in here. This is going to be my new slideshow, and I can caption them. So have fun ballooning. I don't know. I'm just putting in whatever comes to mind here. And I can apply a link here if I wanted to. Something like that. And then we've got another one here. Boots and water don't mix, something like that. Where is the ladybug? Something like that. And if I scroll down to the bottom and save it, now if I refresh Scott's site, we've got this new slideshow coming by in the background behind the search bar. Got that new caption down there. If I go back to this first image here and I click on it, it's going to take me over to the Scott Leroy Marketing site. There we are there. And that's essentially what you can do with the slideshow there. Remember, maximum of 5 images, roughly 1600 pixels wide by 500 pixels tall if you're using the Madison theme. But definitely check out that help article for the specific dimensions for your theme. and then you can have as few as one if you wanted it to be static. Moving down here to certifications, this is probably the easiest thing about the site. Definitely want to leave this checked, show certifications on my site, and then you can select up to 6 certifications to show at the bottom of your site. Any agent in the United States has to have the equal housing opportunity. That's the law. You have to put that on your site. And then if you're a member of the National Association of Realtors in the States, you also have to have the NAR logo on here as well. If you're outside the States, neither of these really apply to you. Any additional ones, like say you are CRS or you're a GRI or something like that, you got additional certifications, you can select them, and just clicking on them selects them. You see that blue border around there. You can have up to 6 displaying on your site, and if there's a certification that should be here that's not, definitely reach out to support@placester.com. That's the company that runs this site, and let them know to add that certification. It's probably not very hard to do. Once you've selected your certifications to show on your site, support article on adding certification logos. There we go. Apparently you can add your own certification logos. Didn't know you could do that. Anyway, once you've got them selected, we'll scroll down and save. And when I refresh Scott's site, if I scroll to the bottom, here's my equal housing and my National Association of Realtors logos. Simple, easy peasy. Back here on the Placester interface, under that section, we've got social networks, and I left in our social media links here just to show you guys what they would look like in the proper format. So in these boxes here, it's not asking for the full http:// all that fun stuff for the site link. It only wants the part after the slash. That's why it puts the rest of it at the beginning here. It wants facebook.com/ and then whatever's after the slash goes in the box. Twitter.com/ and then whatever's after the slash goes in the box. Same for LinkedIn, linkedin.com/, and you'll notice there's a second slash here. It wants what's after the first slash, and then after that goes in the box. So for LinkedIn, it's going to be in/ and then the rest of your LinkedIn link. Same for YouTube, it's going to be C/ the rest of your LinkedIn channel link. Now you can link to one particular video here if you wanted to, but most times it's recommended to link to your actual channel so they can see all of your videos, which is going to be C or channel or user or something like that. You just visit your channel. And if you need help finding these links, let me actually go find that video. I should have had this pull up already. We have a video showing how to find your public profile links, and if you're watching this as a recording, definitely ask us for that video. We can send it to you. There's the video. There we go. I'm going to send that over. All right, I sent that over in the chat window, and if you're watching online as a recording, definitely send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com to have that sent over to you. One thing I forgot to mention at the very beginning of the class, and we're like halfway through now, so this is a little bit late. If you don't feel like going through this whole setup process yourself, we can actually get this site set up for you. That's a free service through your Market Center subscription. Just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com, and we'll let you know what information we need to have this site set up for you. Really easy, and if you don't have to go through the setup process yourself, but this is a great resource to learn how to use the site after we do the initial setup. So definitely, it's up to you which way you want to do that. Once you've got your social media links in place here, you'll definitely want to click Save. And if I go over to Scott's site here, now we've got our LinkedIn, our YouTube, and our Facebook links here. Yeah, it opens those in a new tab. And here is our YouTube channel. Whenever it decides to load, there we go, Scott Leroy Marketing. So that's where the social media icons go on the Madison theme. Depending on the theme that you've chosen, they may go in a different place, maybe on the other side of the screen, or on, I think, the Fremont. They're on a ribbon over here on the left, so definitely check that out. Oh, I forgot to point out a couple of things about the slideshow once I uploaded it. You'll see as it slides through these wider ones, like this hot air balloon one, are fine. But if I stop it here at the, what's that called? Let me go back here. If I stop it here at the boots one here, you'll notice when I uploaded it, there was definitely a dock down here, and you can even see some boats up at the top here. That's illustrating that it cuts off the top and bottom sections. It's going to only show the middle of the image. Same for over here. We've got this lighthouse. You can't even tell that's a lighthouse. It cut off the top and bottom. So you definitely want your images to be much wider, about 4 times as wide as they are tall. Just wanted to make sure you guys were seeing that. And then again, if your image is a lot wider than it is tall, it'll show properly, just like this one. Looks really nice. Okay, back to our Placester interface. We just finished with social networks. Now we'll drop down here to search form. So for the search form, if you're using the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, you're only going to have one option here, the Omnibox with auto suggest. And let me explain what that is. The Omnibox is relying on a search string rather than the traditional drop-down style of search box. So traditionally on older sites like eEdge or whatever, you're going to have a drop-down for price, a drop-down for beds, a drop-down for baths, a drop-down for zip code, a drop-down for this, that, and the other. Instead, on the Omnibox here, this is you're using one search string in place of all of those drop-downs. So I could search something like 2 bed, 1 bath, 1,500 square feet with a pool and a fence in Little Rock. So I've got a city, I've got some options, I've got a square footage option, I've got a bed, I've got a bath, and I've got a max price of $350,000. So if I search that, okay, apparently there aren't any listings that meet those criteria in that area, and that's fine. But it's showing me up here, these are my search criteria as if I had selected them in a drop-down. So max price 350,000, minimum beds 2, minimum baths 1, minimum square feet 1,500 in Little Rock in Arkansas with pool and fence in the keywords. If I remove that, it'll probably, there we go. So now there is one listing that meets those criteria in the Little Rock area. So that's in place of drop-downs. Excuse me. If you prefer to use one of those more drop-down centric search boxes, we can definitely do that. You just won't be able to do it on the Madison or the Madison Metro themes. If you're using one of those themes on your search box here, you would just do next and save. Now to show you what the process looks like for one of the different themes in different search boxes, let me switch my theme to, let's do the Toronto here. And if I come back to search form, I've got some additional options down here. These are just choosing which drop-down you want to be first on the search bar. Do you want it to be price, city, zip, or neighborhood first? Usually price is what's going to be selected. That's why it's puts it at the top. And then we would save that, or excuse me, next that. And on the next page, it's asking how many additional drop-downs do you want to show on the listing search page once they've performed that initial search on the home page. So you can show just those same four drop-downs from the home page, or you can do as many as all these other ones to show on the listing search page. I'm going to save that to show you what it looks like. If I go back to Scott's home page, now I've got that new theme selected and I've got my 4 drop downs here with price first. If I do a price of minimum price of 150,000, max price of 400,000, minimum beds of 2, minimum baths of not 0, 1, and then search. There we go. Here's my more advanced, the more drop downs for that search bar that we selected on that second step. These are more filters that we can use. So it's up to you whether you want to use the Omnibox. Now I do want to point out on other themes, you can use the Omnibox. Not on all themes, but most of the other themes you can also use the Omnibox. But if you want to use one of these drop-down ones, you can't use the Madison or the Madison Metro. That one only uses the Omnibox. So it's up to you which one of those you want to use. Now one little glitch that we've run into, and I don't think that there's a way to fix this without Placester fixing it, and I don't think it's high on their priority list. What happens if, say we go back to theme selection and currently have this Toronto selected with that drop-down style search box selected. Say I went back to the Madison and saved it. If I go back to Scott's homepage, it's going to show me the Madison theme, but now it's got this weird search bar here that's not the Omnibox. It has those drop-downs, and they will work. This is a functional search box, but it looks really weird. The search button is really wide. It's a lot wider than the drop-downs, so you may not want to show that on your homepage. It also cuts off a lot of the picture. It's up to you whether you want to leave this on here, but if you don't want it on here and you want that Omnibox back, all you got to do is go back to Placester, go back to the search form, and resave the Omnibox. And now if I refresh, now I got my Omnibox back. Easy peasy. Just wanted to show you that little glitch because that is something that we've run into before. Under that, we've got menu. This is where you're customizing the menu across the top of your site. So the home, listings, about, blog, contact, that's where you're controlling right here. Here's where we're going to get a little bit interactive. And I guess it could have been interactive if you're following along before now. But this is one where I'm telling you this is what you want to do. So in our menu items here, it's going to have 5 on here by default. There's an additional one that could be on here that we're going to add. So if we do this drop down at the bottom of the list, we're going to do should show, there we go, your favorite listings. It should show the rest of these and your favorite listings. It's not supposed to show these other 3. These are left over from the Placester 201 class I didn't get a chance to clear out. It should show your favorite listings. If we select that and then do add, now it adds that to the menu. Now, one really cool thing to show you is that you can move the menu items around. You can drag them in and out of order. It's up to you what order you want to do. And then you can also, your favorite listings here, if I drag it on top of listing search, you see that dotted line that's over the top of listing search? That lets me know that when I release the mouse button, your favorite listings is going to be nested under listing search. And it shows you that by having it indented here. There's a little bit of extra space. If I save this and go back over to Scott's site, now when I hover over listing search, I've got this new menu item for your favorite listings. And both of these are clickable. You can go to those different pages, but now that your favorite listings is in the drop down underneath there. So if your menu is getting too wide, too many things on it, you may think about dragging some things on top of each other to create some submenus. Now I'm not aware, and I've never actually tested this, I'm going to try it. I'm not aware that you can create, you can't create submenus. You can only go one submenu deep. So just keep that in mind. Now we're also going to add an additional menu item here. We're going to go to the bottom of our drop down here and do custom URL. This is where we're going to add the link to your personalized KW app. So in the label here, you're telling it what do I want to display on my menu, what's actually going to be shown on the site. I would do normally something like free home search app, or you can do download my app, or search homes anywhere, anything like that. It's up to you what you want to put in the label here. And then under that where it says URL, we need your KW app URL. And that's really easy to find. We're going to go back over to our My KW homepage. And I'm only going to be able to take you about one more click here because I don't have access to what you're going to have access to. I don't have an agent role here on Scott's profile. In your My Marketing section here of your eEdge control panel, click the plus sign next to that, and then click Manage eAgency Website. And this is as far as I can show you what it looks like, but I can talk you through it. It's pretty easy. Once you click on Manage eAgency Website and you're in the eAgency interface, over on the left, click section 4.0 to expand it, and then click section 4.4. I believe it's 4.4. That's mobile property search. If you click on that one, over on the right, it should show your market center name in the top drop down, and then it should show your app link. It's going to be http://app.kw.com/ and then a KW number code. That code is specific to you, and that's your KW app link. So copy that whole thing, the whole http://app.kw.com, blah, blah, blah. Copy all of that. And we're going to go back over to our Placester interface, and we're going to paste that here into the URL box. So it's going to look like http://app.kw.com/kw, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. I'm going to leave out that code part there because it's not going to work if I put it in there because it's not right. So it's going to look a lot like this, except it's going to have your personalized code at the end. And then under that, the tooltip is totally optional. It's what's going to show on your menu item when you hover over it. To give you an example, if I hover over, okay, I don't have that in there anymore. So I'm going to apply a tooltip here, and it's up to you whether you want to put anything there or not. This is going to show when you hover over the menu item on the site. So if I go back over and refresh Scott's site after I save that, by the way, make sure to click your green save button or else that menu item won't be added to your site. If I hover over that, now you see that little drop down underneath my mouse cursor. This is the tooltip. That's a tooltip. So you're controlling what the site shows there when it's hovered over. Okay, so we just finished with menu. Now we're going to get into site info. This is possibly the most boring part of it, so kind of stick with me here, you guys. We're in the home stretch. This is pretty self-explanatory information. Mostly this top section gets a little confusing, and then this very bottom section does, but in the middle it's pretty self-explanatory. For the brand name, I say a little confusing. It's not confusing at all. It's just not obvious. You're not going to be able to tell, oh, that's where that goes on the site without me telling you. So for the brand name, on the Madison theme here, the brand name is going to show up here in the top left next to the KW logo. So it's going to show right about here in big letters. And then underneath that, the tagline is going to show underneath the brand name in a little bit smaller letters. This is just like the statement to show over the slideshow right here. You can't control the font, can't control the size, can't control the color, can't control the placement. It's always going to be in this spot, in this size, in this color. So for brand name, we typically recommend just doing either your name, or if you belong to a team, you can do your team's name. There just has to be something in this box. It can't be blank. So we're going to do Scott Leroy Marketing. And then under that, the tagline, it can be blank. You can leave this one blank, or you could do something like your, what is it? Your Realtor for Life is what we usually put in. There we go. Or you could do your local real estate resource, or you could name your area. You could do your Little Rock real estate resource. You just can't do your area and Realtor in the same line. That's a NAR requirement. You double check with them, make sure it's okay. Your Realtor for Life should work fine. We double checked with them on that. Under that, you can upload a logo. By default, it's going to show this plain KW logo, and you can leave that there if you want to, or you can upload your own, either your logo or your Market Center's logo. If your Market Center has a logo that they need you to use for compliance reasons, definitely get that from them, and you would upload that in this spot. I'm not even going to show you what selected KW logo looks like right here because that hasn't worked in months. We're just going to leave it alone. It's best just to upload your own logo. So I've got a logo uploaded right here. This is the default one that comes with the site. Excuse me. It looks like, we had a question about this one time, it looks like if I click upload file here, this is uploading a secondary logo, another logo to show in the top left. That's not the case. You're replacing this logo with a new file. So if I were to do upload file and put in a new picture here, it's going to remove this one and instead put in the new one that I uploaded here. I had a question about that a couple of months ago where an admin assistant thought that you could show two logos on the left, and you can't do that. Excuse me, gosh, I'm having some trouble with my throat here. Okay, under that we've got these checkboxes here. By default, display logo is selected. You can check that on or off if you want to. Double check with your office whether it's a compliance thing for you to show your office's logo on your site. If that's required, definitely want to leave display logo selected. On the left, you've got display name and tagline. That's choosing whether you want to show these two things on your site. You can show that or not. It's up to you. I'm going to check it. Under that, we've got a section where we can upload a favicon. This is a teeny tiny little image that's going to show up here in the browser bar. You see my little slides icon here, the orange thing with the white square in the middle. We've got the downtown Pensacola logo here. We've got the Placester logo over here. We've got the KW logo over here. By default, if you don't upload a favicon, this is what it's going to show in the browser tab for you, this broken page icon. So you definitely want to get something in this place, and I'm going to put in the same KW thing that's on the My KW homepage here. There it is right there. And if you want this file, we can definitely send that over to you. Just send us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can get that over to you. It's pretty easy to send. This is a .ico file, but a .jpg or a .png works fine. Keep in mind it's going to show exactly this size. It's going to be 16 pixels by 16 pixels. This is not where you're going to put your picture. This is not going to have enough definition to show your picture. It's just going to look like a little person-shaped blob. So definitely do something simple here. So your logo, maybe, if it's simple, if it's just a couple of characters, or if it's got like maybe a house in it or a key in it, maybe a good thing to put here, but we're just going to use the KW logo here and not our own picture. Under that, this is pretty self-explanatory. Your name, your email, your phone number. Wow, I messed that phone number up really badly. There we go. And then under that, you would upload your picture. This is where you put your picture. So we're going to upload a file, put in Scott's nice, pretty headshot there. Doesn't he look like Tom Felton? Next time you talk to him, you should tell him he looks like Tom Felton. That's Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter movies. Under that, office details is also self-explanatory. So company, usually you would put in Keller Williams Realty. If your office has a specific DBA name that you're required to use for compliance purposes, definitely check with your office and make sure that that's what you're putting in that box also. You can leave this information blank. We don't recommend doing that. And then under that for email and phone, when we set agents up on this site, what we do is we put in their email and their phone number. Now, that is our official policy. That's what we do when we set agents up, when you request for us to set your site up for you. My personal opinion is that if someone is seeing this office information to try to contact the office, that means they've passed up to 5 opportunities to contact you. That means they probably already tried to contact you and you weren't available. So in my mind, I don't want my office to lose this lead just because I was with another client or something. So I would put in the actual office contact information here, but double check with your office and see whether you're required to do that. If you're not required to, you can put in your contact information here, and that's what we do on a policy basis when we set people up. But in my personal opinion, I would put my office's contact information here. Under that, you would put in your office address. That's too many characters. There we go. That's pretty self-explanatory. Now, one thing to, I'll show you where this shows up on your site. Like I said, they pass up to 5 opportunities to contact you before they see your office information. It's at the very, 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 very bottom of your website. In fact, right above this office information is your contact information again. So if they were trying to contact you, they would contact you. But if they're trying to contact the office, that means that they had already tried to contact you. Anyway. Under that, we've got this SEO section. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and this is where you can help your site show up better on search engines. And we've got a whole guide for how to do that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail there. I'm just going to show you what this is and what can go in it. If you want that whole guide for how to optimize your website for search engines, definitely shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can send that over to you really easily. For meta title, this shows in 2 places. One is up here in the browser tab. You see where it says brand name here. It shows right next to the fave icon. So you're telling the browser what to show in the browser tab. It's also, if you go to search results, can't type right now. If you go to search results, it's the blue link that the search engine is showing that's going to link to your site. So you're telling the search engine what to display in this spot. What it doesn't show on this page is that there's a soft limit here for how many characters you can show here. It's 55-ish characters. It depends on the search engine that you're using. But after 55-ish characters, it's going to truncate your title that you're showing here into a ... just like this right here. So keep your most important, most specific information up front. So what is that? Scott Leroy search homes for sale in Orlando, Florida. You can put in your phone number and then maybe Keller Williams. Gosh. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is over 55 characters. It would cut it off somewhere around where it started, the Keller Williams Realty here, and that's okay because the most important, most specific information is over on the left and then less specific is on the right. Now this is, what am I trying to say here? You do want to be consistent with this because this meta title and meta description, each thing that you create on your site here, whether it's a page or a blog post or a testimonial or an area page, everything has its own individual meta title and meta description. So you're going to get really familiar with writing titles and descriptions for search engines. That's also covered in our search engine optimization guide, and it's also covered in our Placester 201. So we can get you information on those if you want. Under that, we've got our meta description, and this is not the place to load up quote-unquote meta tags. That's, for example, like homes for sale in Orlando, property for sale in Orlando, real estate in Orlando, you know, buy a house in Orlando, all separated by commas. That's not what goes here. That fell out of fashion with search engines roughly 10 years ago. It's really, really outdated. And in fact, this can actually hurt your site's search engine optimization, especially if the tags that you put in the spot are not anything to do with what's on your site, with what's actually in the content on your site. What this is supposed to be instead is a helpful, human-readable description that actual people are going to see, because it shows up in the search engine as this gray text underneath the blue link that would go to your site. So actual people are reading this. So what you want this to be is a helpful description of what's going to be found on your site before they click on that link in the search engine. So you've got a little bit more leeway in this box. You've got about 155 characters before it truncates it with that ... so you can be a little bit more verbose. So something along the lines of find your perfect home in and around the Orlando area with Scott Leroy of Keller Williams Realty, your local real estate resource. That's a lot more verbose, and it'll show up to the first 155-ish characters. So you want that to be, again, human readable, a description of what is going to be found on your site. Once you've got all this information in here in the site info section, definitely make sure to click save down here at the bottom, or else all those changes are going to be lost. Once you click save, I'm going to come back over to Scott's site and show you all those changes at once. Okay, so now up in the browser tab here, we've got that new site title, the Scott Leroy Search Homes for Sale in Orlando, blah, blah, blah. And that's what also would show on a search engine if this page were to show up in a search engine results page. One thing about search engines is that it can take up to 3 weeks from when you make a change on your site to when it's actually reflected on the search engine. So don't expect to change this title and then go search for yourself on a search engine and that title to show up exactly like it is 5 seconds later. It can take up to 3 weeks for a search engine to come back around to re-indexing your site. So if anybody says, I can get you to the front page of Google in overnight or in a week, typically don't believe them. They're usually selling snake oil, and we will never promise to get you to the first page of Google overnight. That's it's either unethical or illegal or impossible. So definitely keep a wary eye out for people that say that they can do that for you. Anyway, so that's up there in the browser bar. Now I've got my new brand name up here, that's Scott Leroy Marketing. Got my new tagline, got that logo, which if we had uploaded a new one, it would show there. Over on the right here, it's got my contact information. It's got Scott's name, that email me link. This link's behavior is going to be different on each person's computer that's viewing this website, and it can only say email me. It can't show your actual email address. If you want some information, more information about how that works, we have a specific video for that, so shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. We can send that over to you. It's got that phone number there, and if someone were to click or tap on this, it would start a call to that number, so only one number can be shown in this spot. So say you're on a partner team, if you tried to put both of your phone numbers in this spot, it would try to dial both of your numbers at the same time, and it wouldn't go through. And then it's also got your picture over here. Under that, if we scroll to the very, very bottom of the page, it's got your contact information again, and they also passed up a contact form and your contact information again, and they passed up, what is that called, the contact page right here. So they pass up your information several times before they get to that office information. So if they're looking for it, they're really looking for it, so they really want to contact your office. So personally, I recommend putting your office's information in that section. Anyway. So that's the site info section that we just finished up with right here. I'm going to show you language. I wish I didn't have to show you language because there's not really much of an option here. This would be, I thought, and I guess Placester hasn't implemented this yet, say you spoke Spanish and you wrote content on your site in Spanish or in Hindi or in Farsi or in Mandarin or in Japanese or something like that. You could say the language of my site is such and such, and that would help your search engine know what language your site was in. Right now, the only options are English, Canadian English, and French Canadian. Don't know why that's even an option at this point, but I just wanted to show you that that's, I don't even know there. So I'm just going to close this, and you can play around with that if you want to. It's not really an important thing right now. Under that, in this last section, we're only going to cover the first couple of things. Auto-publish right here is an upgraded thing that you would want to contact Placester about. They have some automatic blog posts and things that you can get posted to your site automatically. You just check a couple of boxes and it puts them on there. Again, that's an upgrade package from Placester. You would want to contact Placester directly. We're not in charge of that. Under that, we've got lead capture, and this is the last thing we're going to cover today, and it's potentially the most important thing we're going to cover today. This is where you're controlling how leads come into your website and what happens to them after they come into your website. So in this top section here, you're choosing how your website captures leads, whether it's passively, which is the one that's chosen by default, which means visitors can view property details without submitting a contact form or registering on your site. So they can view as many properties as they want on your site, and they don't have to fill out a contact form if they don't want to. Next to that, we've got aggressively capture leads, which is visitors are blocked from viewing any property details without submitting a contact form or registering on your site. That means if they go to click on a specific listing, they can search for listings, but if they click on a specific one to view more details, it'll pop up a form that says fill out your information before you can view the rest of the details on this listing. Neither of these is perfect. There are pros and cons to both. If you've got passively captured leads selected, you're probably going to get a lower number of leads, but the leads that come in are probably going to be higher quality because they consciously decided that they wanted to hear from you. If you've got aggressively captured leads selected, you're probably going to get more leads coming into your site, but it's probably going to be either from people that don't actually want to be contacted by you, or they're going to put in bogus information and that lead is just useless. So neither of those is perfect. Now, this is there is an upgrade package that's available that includes some customization options here for the lead capture settings, where you can say after X number of listings viewed, maybe 3, 4, 5, then pop up a form that says, thanks for using my site, to continue using it. Put in your contact information. That would be what I would do if I were an agent and I were running the site myself. I would look into paying for that upgrade package. Last I heard, that package started at $90 a month. It does have 3 other options in that package, and I'm not going to discuss those here. Definitely contact Placester for information about that package and the cost and whether it's gone up or not. We don't have that information here, but personally, if this were my site and that you don't have to do what I would do, definitely go through the red light, green light method in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. Talks about how to add expenses to your business, whether it's going to be beneficial and bring in more income than it's going to cost. Definitely go through that process for whether you want to add that upgrade package. Under that, down at the bottom here, we've got this lead forwarding section. This is the really, really important section. This is who and what is going to be notified when a lead comes into your site. You definitely want to put in your regular contact email here. So like scott@scottleroymarketing.com. Gosh, I can't spell. There we go. And then you want to put a comma. You can't put a semicolon, can't put a colon, can't put a line break, can't put a space. Has to be a comma right here in between this email and the next email. And the next email that you want to put in here is potentially, if you're a member of a team, you have a lead coordinator, you definitely want that lead coordinator's email in this spot. Then you would do another comma. If you've got a partner that you work with, do their email and then another comma. But the other email that I want to put in here is my e-edge email, so that leads that come into this site will automatically be added as contacts into the e-edge database. Really easy to do. We're going to go back to our MyKW homepage and leave Placester open in this other tab. Back on our MyKW homepage, we're going to go into e-edge, whichever your favorite way of doing that is. I'm just going to click on View Contacts here and open that in a new tab. And then once you're in e-edge, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Up in the top right, you'll click on Account, and then click on My Account. And then in this section here should be your e-edge email. It's this one that ends in @kwrealty.com. If you don't know what this email is, that's fine. All you need to know is copy and paste this address. So we're going to highlight this address, the full @kwrealty.com email address here, right-click and copy, go over to Placester, right-click and paste. Once you've got that in there, make sure to click Save, so that leads that come into your site will automatically be added as contacts to your e-edge database. That's really important to do. Once you've got that saved, it'll pop up in the top right, let you know your lead capture settings have been saved. I don't know why it doesn't just dismiss this section as different from every other part of the site, but that's what it looks like. So now I can just click out of here, and go back to my site info section, or excuse me, site settings section. That's the last thing that we're going to cover in our Placester 101 today. The rest of this is going to be covered in 201, as well as pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas. I'm going to leave the recording open for another minute or two. If you have questions, definitely shoot them over in the chat window. I'll turn my mic off for a minute or two to wait for those questions. If there aren't any questions, definitely check out the recording at slmtraining.com, and I will see you guys next time.